You're listening to the 14th Source for all geeky and nerdy news and discussion, which means that you're listening to a podcast.
For all intents and purposes.
I am D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplund.
And we are your two overeducated codependent nerd hosts, bringing you the things that we like to talk about, but filtered through inquisitive and critical lenses. In the episode for Friday, May 9th, 2025. I'm offended, Andrew.
I'm offended. Why are you offended?
Okay, so this is not anything new, but I'm offended by live action remakes of animated films.
Okay.
But I want to be specific here. I think you and I have long kind of argued that they aren't really necessary, though when done well, they do seem to add something new, a different spin to maybe what existed before. You and I didn't hate the Aladdin live action remake,
right,
for example. But there's two coming out, one at the end of this month, and I guess the other one is near that time too. But they're remaking Lilo and Stitch as a live, quote unquote, live action, when most of that shit is CG, right?
It's the Lion King, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's still an animated film, my dudes. They didn't actually give lions notes and say, "Can we do that take again?" Right? But Lilo and Stitch just had so much style brought to it by specifically the guy that created the characters in the story, Chris Sanders, that it's so full of personality in its original form that every trailer I've seen is just trying to stick to what was there. So why are you remaking it if you're just literally just remaking it? You're not actually, it doesn't seem like, again, well, I guess we'll have to wait till the movie comes out, though I don't particularly want to see it. But the one that actually is more offensive to me, because I do love Lilo and Stitch. It's a movie that's dear to my heart because Ohana means family. They're doing a live action, again, quote unquote, remake of another movie that I love, the first How to Train Your Dragon film. And the kind of offensive part about that movie is that it's literally, this is in the promotional materials, a shot-for-shot remake. They're not even couching it as oh, we're it's for a new gen. No, they're just remaking it. Shot. It's like Psycho. Remember that disaster?
I was actually thinking of Psycho.
Why? They got one of the original directors, coincidentally, the director team, it's Chris Sanders and Dean DeBlois, I don't know how to say his last name, the pair that directed How to Train Your Dragon, are also the pair that directed and created Lilo and Stitch. Actually, I just made that connection right now. But they brought back, not Chris Sanders, Dean DeBlois, I don't know, I've only ever seen his name written. He's directed the original film. He's coming on to direct the quote-unquote live-action remake. They're bringing in some of the original actors who did voices in How to Train Your Dragon to be their live-action counterparts. I'm why?
Right.
Why? Stop. I don't know, man. But I'll be honest. In this topsy-turvy world, maybe just going back to what's comfortable is what we need.
So I will say, I'm going to say this is almost like a lead into what we think we're going to talk about. I'll admit, the new Andor season 2 is out, and people, are you watching it? I'm actually, I have not started watching it because that show is a mood, and it's a mood that I'm not ready for.
Right.
I'm definitely becoming more sensitive to
political unrest,
to my fiction that too mirrors reality.
Right.
And to the point where it's off-putting for me. I get it. I'm not saying that these aren't important stories. It's just that it's like the person in World War II Germany watching stories about overthrowing an evil government. You're it's too close to home.
It's like when I think it was in terms of games when The Last of Us Part 2 came out in 2020, I believe. I'm not really in the mood to play a game about a pandemic right now. Just not feeling it. I'm sorry. It's important to read the room, and I think it's also interesting when, especially in times of tumult, that the fiction actually makes commentary on the things that are going on around it, which brings us to not only stuff we love and creators revisiting it, but also modern commentary. We're here to talk this week about Doctor Who. Season 2/Series 15, depending on where you live.
This is Nishuti Katwa's second year as our season as the Doctor.
Not willing to call it 8 episodes a year quite yet.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're here to specifically talk about. They're halfway through the season, 4 of 8. But more importantly, I want to take time to talk about episode number 4.
Sure.
Which is the one that just aired this last week. It's titled Lucky Day.
Right. So we should also say we're halfway through the season. I think you just said that. Yeah, actually, it's 4 of 8. But let's just be declarative here. Half of the season. Again, we're going to spend most of our time talking about Lucky Day. But I think Lucky Day is indicative in a lot of ways of stuff that the season so far has been touching on in nearly every episode. There's been a lot of meta commentary on culture, on things. Again, whether lighthearted or, as in Lucky Day, very direct. Right.
Right.
I would like the first episode, Robot Revolution. Like it dealt with a toxic relationship.
Right.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
What was it? It was not The Well. What was the one? It was the animated one.
Lux.
That where Doctor Who when the Doctor confronted his fans, right? Where we got some interesting, you could say commentary, but definitely a look at sort of a meta narrative there. And then this one, Lucky Day, directly confronts what Russell T. Davis said in some of the behind the scenes footage. She's like, as a producer, I'm looking for ways to manifest evil for the Doctor to confront. And what's some tangible, relevant, current evil going on? Oh, it's the internet. And the just the toxic culture created by the internet.
Right. So, first of all, we're going to talk about this episode a little bit. Spoilers. And actually, pretty big spoiler because, to be clear, if you watch the trailer or the preview for the episode, they don't really tell you what the episode's about.
True.
The description
it's
of the
episode.
Good trailer. The trailer, like everything about kind of, this is an episode that has a big misdirect in it, and we are going to be addressing that. Like halfway through, you realize, oh shit, this is not what I thought it was.
It's a Dr. Light episode.
Dr. Light episode actually filmed at the same time as Robot Revolution on, I guess, a different set, because it's basically no shared cast other than the cameo by the Doctor.
Right. And Belinda.
And Belinda and Mrs. Flood.
Right, correct. Well, yeah.
Who's do nothing but cameos right now. So yeah. So this is an episode that it comes across, it starts very kind of lighthearted-ish, where it is one of these Dr. Light episodes, kind of like the kind of the ones that just show normal people's lives and how they deal with the strange and kind
Fear
of
her.
No, I was
or Blink, I guess, is the big one, right?
Blink. I was going to say the one with the Absorbaloff, or the there's another one too. They're like the weird ones where you're like, what the hell is this episode even about? That's what it starts at. It's about basically a podcaster who ends up interviewing Ruby Sunday because.
Right. Yeah.
Because he'd actually seen her and the Doctor fighting a monster, and he basically wanted to and he'd actually, as a child, met the Doctor, and basically he wanted to talk about this blue box and this mysterious man.
Met the Doctor with the current companion,
yes.
Belinda. And what's interesting, before we get into that storyline, I think just the premise alone of this episode, this is novel for being a Dr. Light episode. And in itself is really engaging. Have they really done this before? That hasn't been either a like Pond Life internet special episode where it's just like life after the Doctor, like, because that's basically what this episode is, right? It's Ruby Sunday living life after her travels with the Doctor.
School reunion,
sure,
with Sarah Jane, and then you also get to a certain extent. some of the ones where people kind of come back and we see,
Right.
Sarah Jane actually has the episode where Joe Grant comes back, and the idea of what is it they're doing after after they leave the doctor's company.
There is the companion, was it like a support group that we saw in
Also,
the Power of the
Power
Doctor?
of the Doctor. We see hey, we've all traveled with the Doctor, seen these wild and crazy things, and can't really talk about them.
Ian Chesterton, right? Is that right? You ain't seen shit.
Yeah, so that's what really this episode kind of starts with, and it also features the new unit team. We see Kate Lethbridge Stewart and her team in their fancy unit tower doing unit things. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I think this episode is worth discussing and why I kind of bring it up in the context of things that actually upset me is kind of the twist. Halfway through this episode, without getting into detail of how we get there,
spoilers.
This is the big
where
spoiler.
Spoilers really happen. So
is that this guy is not who he says he is. He's basically a YouTuber podcaster who thinks that UNIT is a fraud, that the people are being lied to, fake news, right? And that it's a waste of taxpayer money. It's Alex Jones. It is that kind of thing.
I mean, it's also like it touches on like the Andrew Tate shit, like the manosphere a little bit. It's fucking gross, and they capture it pretty well. It's terrifying. And
so the episode then becomes these people like film video of UNIT responding to an alien attack that is in fact just them in costumes.
Right.
And they say, look, this is all bullshit. You're wasting money. And hashtag UNIT lies.
Right. Show us your special effects. Show us your costumes. Why aren't you? Yeah. Basically, show us the truth, or else we won't believe you, kind of stuff.
And it kind of just escalates, scene after scene of just like, absolutely. People like they're getting on the bandwagon. They're, they have the scene that show everyone on their Instas or whatever saying like, yeah, man, UNIT lies. What's up with that?
Yeah.
And to the point where it's funny. I think in somewhere I read, you kind of have to take this idea of like, wait a second, these are people where they've seen aliens invade the Earth on multiple. We don't know which alien invasions stuck with all the timey-wimey shit, right? But like, these are people where they've seen things, right? Stuff has happened, and yet they still are saying, they look at it in the face and they say that's bullshit. It's all lies, right? And it's funny because you want to say like, oh, that's not believable,
ridiculous. If you
right?
saw an alien invasion, you'd absolutely believe it. But
and then
I get students going like, can I write my research paper about how 9/11 didn't happen? I'm like, fuck.
Or even now people are saying that the pandemic was a hoax,
right?
Or that kind of thing. Like it is just this notion that actually this is entirely believable and horrifying, right?
Yeah. It speaks to kind of the larger divide of not even the divide. It's the democratization of truth, right? What's what you see on your phone is what you believe, but also it's also the thing you don't trust. Like it's internet culture has created just a liminal state of reality that. Mostly for the lulz, but also especially for the clicks and for the sales, people are taking advantage of because you can go really far in this kind of culture if you don't have any empathy, right? Which is the thing that really stood out. Both Andrew and I rewatched the episode for the purpose of the show. It's like I think we watched the same thing, but I also watched a behind the scenes video for the episode on YouTube. We'll put the link in the show notes. One of the things that stood out to me after rewatching it was Russell T Davies saying that his job as a producer is to kind of come up with different ways to present evil, and he wanted to have an episode about toxic internet culture. And what does that result in? Is it a new monster? Well, yeah, we get a new monster in this episode, but they're not the antagonist, right? It's just a dude who's just a raging piece of shit.
The real monster is the human, right?
Yeah, human without empathy, and that is too. Oh God, what's the line? There's a beautiful line that I think it's Ruby said. You're a lying little boy that can't bear to be called out. This character, this villain, is someone that has gone too far down a path that to actually look at himself and accept his own responsibilities would actually compromise his entire existence ultimately, which is to say that he's the one that's been making everything up, lying to people so that he can get more likes, more clicks, more followers, and ultimately more sales of merchandise and probably supplements.
He probably sells his own brand of supplements. And there's kind of a space where you could say, like, well, is this guy supposed to be a grifter? Is he supposed to be a true believer? Is he just supposed to be a jilted, person who didn't get the job? And it's like, why not all three? And maybe, and I read one review, I forget what website, where they kind of complained that they never really solidified him into what was he? Was he the true believer? And it's like, actually, he's kind of all of them, maybe at different times, and it doesn't matter. I don't think. I think it's vicious, and cruel every way. It's such a. Such a challenging thing to watch, to the point where, like, he's literally staring down this alien that's trying to kill him, and he's like, "Oh, great special effect," right. To the point where, like, it bites his arm off, and it's still kind of takes it to the point of, like, no, that wasn't real.
Right. Well, when the doctor shows up to, just let's be honest, threaten him, he's like in a. We're just doing a really quick overview, basically, of what's happening. At the end of the episode, when he's in prison, the doctor materializes around him and threatens this guy, Conrad Clark, I think is the character's name is, and says, like, you don't fucking fuck with my friends. And then snap, and all of a sudden he's back. Conrad's back in his cell, and the governor comes by, the jailer comes by, and he's like, "Was that real?" So, like, even though she confirms that what just happened to him being basically materializing inside the TARDIS was real, the first question he had was in line with everything he's been doing. He's like, was that real or was that bullshit? Right? Because he wants to believe it's bullshit, because that would then validate the twisted point of view he has crafted a world around, I guess a business around, to make his existence valid. Right? The more I think about it, the more I'm impressed with this episode. It's also, it's a family science fiction action horror TV show. Like when there's the big reveal, like all his friends that they were hanging out with, all of a sudden they become like people with big evil grins on their faces as they film. But I'm like, okay, calm down, right? But it's a really, I think it's probably, not that it can't be done better, but so far in terms of just direct social commentary, and I'll even say for New Who, I guess, unless you can think of anything else, probably the most successful direct social commentary that I've seen in a new Doctor Who episode, meaning since 2005. Which I guess is one of the questions I had is, like, have you seen, or can you think of any times, and maybe I just can't think of any, when Doctor Who has directly addressed social injustice, social problems, social ills?
Well, I think Doctor Who, when it does, it's always, it kind of had the same Star Trek kind of thing where it does, when it wants to do that, it always does it, through we're on a planet where there's this, radical injustice based on racial class or something, like, oh gosh, what could that be like? Where this was not an alien world. This was not, this was just, it was just Earth. It was just real. It was just us. It's just something that happens. So I don't know if I can think of anything quite like that so directly addressed the, like something to, like kind of that head on. But I don't know.
It's always been like more subtle. Like I think of classic. It was like, the Daleks are Nazis. That kind of,
right.
That kind of
it's always like it's the stand-in. It's the metaphor. It's the, And actually, I was going to jokingly refer to the writer of the episode had previously written Kerblam,
right?
Which was a attempt to comment on Amazon and other superstore kind of online superstore merchants. Generally considered not to be done that well, but
Oh, and last season there was it Dot and Bubble, like basically a commentary on social media, kind of.
Right.
Is that the right one? Yeah.
Yeah, but it was still it wasn't. I mean, this is much more direct.
Right. Because it's about people on Earth doing shitty Earth people stuff.
Yeah, and so I just felt it was important to talk about it because it was hard. I mean, at the end of the episode, I actually said I think it was a very well executed episode. Part of me is like, dude, did I like this? Did I enjoy watching it? Because there's a bit of, I don't want to use the word trauma, but.
No, I think that's a valid point. I mean, that's something that came up in the episode, right? Ruby is meeting this character, Conrad, post her travels with the doctor, and she sees shit going on around her when she's like having an outing with his friends, like a vacation, and she's seeing like weird shit happen, like the power's flickering, and so she just goes to the bathroom and calls Unit, of course, as you do, and she gets back to the table, and he's like, "You all right?" She's like, I think I'm in shock. I think I'm experiencing PTSD, and that just. In hindsight, you're like, oh, that's just feeding this piece of shit even more, right? So yeah, I think the trauma is in. So the traumatic aspect is definitely not only there, but I think they are commenting on that stuff as well. Yeah, I think that's the scariest thing about this villain. Scarier than any probably monster they come around. It's like his monstrous power, for lack of a better word, isn't just the lack of empathy. It's his ability to simulate it, because that's the whole thing. And again, going back to the behind the scenes stuff where you get bits of the read through, the table read, when all the cast is just kind of reading. Some of the cast is reading it for the first time, and there's the big twist literally in the middle or somewhere in the middle of the episode where it turns out when Conrad turns from being this sort of doting and sort of attentive and loving partner for Ruby Sunday, turns into this, like you said, Alex Jones, Andrew Tate kind of asshole. You see, when that happens, you see, I think the best people to look at on the table read are Ncuti Gatwa and, oh God, the actress that plays Belinda. They are both shocked. And it's shocking because the depths that just a normal human being could go to suit their own agenda, right? Which is just to, not even to expose. I think you brought up, it's still a question by the end, but does he believe Unit is lying? I don't think so. I think his agenda is to make people think Unit is lying so that, again, I think this is the same thing with Alex Jones, right? Where he's like, I don't know if Alex Jones actually believes there's a conspiracy of lizard people or whatever, but he capitalizes on people's fears of that, the people that do actually believe that, so that they'll do what? So they'll keep listening to him, so they'll keep spending money, right? And that's one of the things, one of the ways that Conrad lures in Ruby is like, oh yeah, my mom's dead and all this stuff. Then turns out his mom's not dead. His mom's in was it fucking Florida or something like that? We're in a huge house that he's paying for, and he's got 4 other properties, right? It's like as baseline and relatably evil as the show has gotten in my recent memory. It's an impressive piece of fiction, despite just being a silly, science fiction show with a monster dog in it.
Right. Yeah. Now I will say that I didn't realize this, that the writer, McTighe,
Peter McTighe,
yeah. He actually is the showrunner for the upcoming spin-off the upcoming spin-off series, the War Between Land and Sea.
Cool.
I saw that a little bit earlier before we started talking, which is going to feature basically unit fighting denizens of the sea.
Okay.
And so there's an interesting thing there that
Devils
not
of the
only
sea,
is this yes, perhaps devils of the sea. That not only is this episode does this kind of post-truth commentary, but it's also you see him kind of setting up more of because I think actually the three characters that we see that we'd already seen are all going to be in that show.
Oh, right.
Colonel Ibrahim, obviously Kate Stewart, and I forget her name, the analyst.
They're probably the
all,
robot.
I believe. Oh yeah,
who I love. When shit went bad, he's like, he pieced out.
Yeah, he's out. He's like, nope, I'm going down the robot tube. So yeah, it's, and I think the other thing I did actually. I want to say that other than the story, which I thought very compelling, I do think it presented some of these characters in kind of interesting ways. Obviously we see Ruby Sunday, another companion, post-Doctor. How do you deal with that? But also Kate Stewart, Gemma Redgrave, we see actually I had to stop and think, had she ever done anything like this? And yeah, she has, right? Like the whole thing with the Zygons, where she literally is like willing to kill them and stuff. Like we know that she is not, and she even said it. I'm glad the Doctor's not here because he would stop me from doing what I'm about to do.
You do not slander her father.
Well, and I was thinking about that, like the original unit stories with John Pertwee, there's in fact it was the Silurians, where it ends with basically the Brigadier saying, we're just going to kill them. And the Doctor says, no, you can't do that. And he's like, yes, I can. Right. So I do like this idea that we have this character who is, similar in capacity to, like protecting the Earth from aliens, kind of like what the Doctor does, but does it differently, approaches it differently. Despite saying science leads in her first episode, science leads with an assault rifle. So it makes me more interested to see where that show goes, to kind of see these characters in the kind of it's similar to what like Torchwood did, right? The idea that like, look, these are people that have the same goals ostensibly, but they approach them differently and sometimes in conflict, right? Torchwood was the same thing. The Doctor's like, I don't like how you guys do business.
Right. I was reminded of, we just talked about this last week briefly, but Battlefield, right? Where where the Brigadier is facing down, what's it called, the Destroyer, right? And he's like, this blue monster demon is like, it's just this old man pointing a gun at this monster, and this monster's like, is there can this world do no better than some fuck like you? And his line is just straightforward and very in line with what his daughter did here, where he just says like, was it like, probably, I just do the best I can and just shoots the fuck out. I'm like, hell yeah. I mean, I don't think government agencies should just go beyond the law. And honestly, not supporting Conrad, I think some government agencies could use a little more transparency. But you shouldn't be swindling people or lying to people to just to make money or to support your lifestyle, right?
Your supplement
sales, right? Yeah. I think a bit of my day job trickled in on my second rewatch because as a rhetorician, technically, what this episode, I'm not the kind of guy that I used to actually, but like would show nerdy TV shows or scenes from nerdy stuff to my students and go like, look, this is what we're talking about. Cause like 75% of them wouldn't pay attention. But like, this is like a really good episode. This villain is a very good representation of the power of rhetoric. That when I present rhetoric to my students in a very rudimentary fashion, which is like communication is built out of two pieces. There's the message you're trying to get across and the rhetoric you use to get it across, right? The choices you make to present your message. And what Conrad is, and what it kind of made me realize about, let's just be blunt about it, these fucking liars that do what Conrad does, in real life every day. It's like there is no message. All they're peddling is presentation, and that's, if anything, we're learning how dangerous that can be. And if anything, the speech by the doctor at the end is really about like, you got to get your presentation in line with your message. Because what does he say? He's like, the only way to get in my TARDIS is to invite people or something like that, and because they're special, and you're special for the wrong reasons. And it's really that static created by someone who has, like the doctor, who has a message he's trying to get across, a goal he's trying to accomplish, but also trying to get people on his side, right? Message plus presentation. Whereas this guy, Conrad, is just all presentation. And it was a fascinating thing. I'm like, oh God, I'm getting like tingly. I feel like I need to write a paper, but I'm not going to, because the semester's almost over. So forget that noise.
The one thing I do want to point out as well, I did not realize this until 20 minutes ago. It was on the Doctor Who website. His organization that it's trying to expose unit is named Think Tank.
Yep.
Which is in fact a reference to the 1974 Doctor Who serial Robot.
Really?
Because Robot was in fact created by Think Tank. Yeah, the author, the writer actually says the whole idea is that he did it intentionally, with the kind of the unwritten or the unspoken premise being that this guy looked up an organization that had opposed unit in the past and chose that name.
But it also lines up perfectly with, let's be honest, the right wing is getting their talking points from conservative think tanks. Yeah.
Think tanks. Yeah. And actually, I got to double check this. I would not have known. Apparently, when he reveals that he's Think Tank, they do use, I guess, an excerpt from the score from the original Robot. I gotta check that, or at least something similar to it. Yeah, I guess all around, I gotta say, I think it was a very effective episode. I don't want to say I liked it, because again, it is. I mean, I guess the fact that it elicited such an emotional response is in fact like a sign of good work, right? Of a good creative work, right? One would imagine that a lot of writers and authors, their goal is to inspire emotional response, and this definitely did. It's just that the emotional response was yucky.
Fair enough.
And hey, if nothing else, I like the ongoing joke that we finally know the Time Lord name for Mrs. Flood.
Maybe. Who knows?
I know. Maybe the recurring character. It's funny because, again, as someone who watches with subtitles, and she says, "Oh, I'm the governor," and it's capitalized. They're like, "Oh, is that your Time Lord name? You're the governor?"
Wait, does she have a bat wrapped in barbed wire?
No, that's a different character. Your mix-up Walking Dead character. She would be that. The next Doctor was the governor.
That's true. That's true. Wait.
Really?
Wait, who's the guy with the baseball bat? Is that all?
That's Negan.
That's Negan. Sorry. I'm mixing stuff up.
You're mixing up.
I try to speak your language and I just fail miserably. Sorry.
You just get it wrong.
Tried to be cool. But
I like that you referred to another Doctor Who character that brought.
That's true, funny.
Yeah. No, I would say I think interesting episode.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious to see what comes of it, because they have actually said that the actor will be returning in the later in the season.
Yeah. Ruby as well.
I will say it makes me realize how the value of science fiction and fantasy, where they tell us the stories in a different context, and how it's easier it's easier just to watch it and not really think about it, and then when they do it for real, you're like, oof.
I think it's shaping up to be a really interesting season. I like the general premise of the season, which is very focused, which is like get Belinda home, and the static they're encountering along the way. But that allows these nice sort of episodic tales, which Doctor Who generally does anyway. But there seems something where they're kind of leaning into, I don't know, heavier topics, more like, I don't know, current topics, which it's been interesting. I'm interested to, I'm interested to see what the remaining 4 episodes are, because I'm a Doctor Who fan. But what these 4 have been setting up in that regard, I'm excited. One, to see where the story goes, how they get her home, but also what these episodes might even be about. And that's the best thing I can expect or want from a science fiction fantasy TV show, honestly. So Doctor Who is good.
Yeah. Who'd have guessed? We would say the Doctor Who was good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, go back to episode 1 of this podcast. So if you, dear listeners, have any thoughts about the topics we discussed this week, feel free to leave your thoughts as comments on the page for this episode at forallintents.net.
Yeah, you can also post your comment or engage in conversations with other listeners or AI on our Facebook page.
You can find us on other social media as well, specifically the places that Andrew and I frequent, which means you can find me on Instagram at dbethelcomics or on Blue Sky also at dbethelcomics, I believe. And you can find Andrew on Mastodon at profounddark@dice.camp.
While you're at our website at forallintents.net, you can also take a look at our YouTube page, which you can find by clicking on the link in the corner that says YouTube. There you'll find the show simulcast in YouTube. If you do listen to the show on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and as they like to say, ring the bell.
We use 2 tracks of music for our show. One is called Disco Medusae. The other is called District 4. They're both written and performed by Kevin McLeod of the Clan McLeod, immortal swordsman, graph paper enthusiast, and musician extraordinaire.
You can find his music and more at incompetech.filmmusic.io, and that's all licensed under the Creative Commons 4.0 attribution license.
If you'd like the show and like to help us out, the best way to do so would be to subscribe to the show using whichever podcasting service you happen to use. What would help us out even more, though, would be to leave some sort of review, whether a text review or using their proprietary metric, will help spread the word to new potential listeners through the magic of algorithms. I got a quick update. Very quick.
Okay.
I've been chipping away at Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and I'm proud to say, 1, it's still a very fun game. I'm enjoying it even more as I keep playing it. But, Andrew, but I have finally heard the Wilhelm Scream. Yep, they got it in there, Andrew. So it's all the boxes are checked, all the requirements are met. It is an Indiana Jones ass video game. So I stopped playing as soon as I heard it.
You stopped. Like, no,
yeah, we're good.
We're good. Mission complete.
I mean, he's punching Nazis. Like he's probably going to win. He almost lost his hat once, so of course it's good to go. Yeah.
There you go.
So until you play a good video game, I'm D. Bethel.
And I'm Andrew Asplin.
And for all intents and purposes,
that was a podcast.
or for all intents and purposes, Wilhelm Scream. Maybe I'll put that in there. Vocal fry.
Yep. I'm going to turn on the window.
The window's on fire.